That's because we always go quiet when we start recording, so I can find the beginning. Sorry, I'll count.
You didn't say two or one. You don't say two or one.
You don't say two or one. I can turn the
just
camera on to
don't.
point too. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, give me some five,
Give me a second. Give me a
four. I'm just gonna mute you. Where are my controls? Control room. All right. Let's see. Mute Tim Foy. Did I mute you?
Yeah, you did. I don't hear him anymore. Nope, he's still there. I hear him.
No, he's still there. All right, whatever. All right, just be quiet for 5 seconds. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tilting Ground with Michael Muto. We have a fun podcast today. We were going to do this last week, but last week was just a little too sad to carry on. Even though we talk about serious topics, we like to have a little brevity in the air. And just last week, with everything that happened in the state of Florida, it was just a little too much. So we pushed it off for a week. Thank God the political gods gave us something to talk about. So we're going to do a three-man weave today. The first person that or one of the people on the podcast today is Justin Glenn. He's been here before. Justin, how are you?
I'm solid, man. I'm solid. I wish Bernie didn't get creamed.
You want 1 minute to talk about what it's like to be a Cleveland fan?
I literally cried. I went to a Cleveland bar, a Cleveland Backers bar in Hollywood by myself, and made friends and cried with a bunch of strangers. And it was right around, I want to say, there was about a minute 15 left, and I like literally started having a nervous breakdown. I was like, they're actually going to win this fucking basketball. Oh, they're going to win this basketball game. And I just kept saying that over and over again. They're going to win. They're going to win. They're going to win. And so it's with great relief. The interesting thing for me is the Cavs are actually, because basketball is of the three major sports, basketball is my least favorite. So, I still want to see an Indians World Series and a Browns Super Bowl, but I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna run with it. So.
Hey, good for you. I think people are happy for Cleveland. I don't know. The other voice you heard laughing when Justin was talking was Mr. Tim Foy, another guest on the podcast. Tim Foy, how are you? Doing great. So we had a request for Tim and Justin to come back and talk since all the primaries are over. And what we're going to do today is think of me as the curator of discussion, like a sommelier. I'll be bringing fine wines to the table. The fine wines are Justin and Tim's opinions. So there's no better place to start than Guns in America. I think we just start with why do Americans love guns so much? Let's just start there, and that'll get us places.
Oh.
I have. They are awesome.
Yeah, so two things. One, guns are cool, and I think that's why they're so popular, or people love them so much, because most American men, myself included, are children at the end of the day, and it's just fun to blow stuff up, and guns are just an extension of that. And I am a gun owner. However, I'm gonna take a umbrage with the historical accent Tim Roth. And the reason I'm gonna take umbrage is that that was basically the stance of most Western countries at the time. Guns were prolific in Britain at the time. Guns were prolific in France. Guns were more of a tool that people used to hunt and to protect themselves because we didn't really have police in those days. So, I mean, I guess there's some like there's reminiscing like frontier-ish kind of like background that the country has,
Well,
but
that's why I said, realistic or not on that. That's the ideal that people embrace
you got
in
it,
America,
yeah. Sorry, well,
Guns equal freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
to people's minds.
Yeah.
People.
definitely. I think the irony of the whole situation is that most people that are super gung ho about the Second Amendment, like really think that voting rights are not that big of a deal.
right. Yeah. Freedom's great, except for the people that they don't like as much in their freedoms, or
Yeah. The irony is not lost on me there. But
I mean, the picking and choosing of what parts of our government and laws people like is always comical, regardless of what side you come in on.
And also, let me say this, like people who are hardcore constitutionalists, which one I am not, like it was written hundreds of years ago, it's a pro-slavery document, there's many things not to like about the Constitution, but there's many things we embrace, and the freedoms and the Bill of Rights and that. But even if you're hardcore into the Constitution, the Second Amendment, it references a well-regulated militia. And it says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. It makes no mention of the right to purchase or sell arms. And that's what most of this legislation is aimed at, and I don't see why there's a big constitutional objection to it, personally.
And again, I don't know that it's a constitutional objection that people are making.
I mean, like the Ted Cruz's, not necessarily normal citizens.
Right, but even Ted Cruz isn't making an intellectually honest argument. He's just basically saying
he's trying to claim it is, though. That's the point I'm making, is that even if he wants to claim it's intellectually honest, it isn't.
Right, and so I think it's. There was a great piece on this that I read. I want to say it was on Salon, but I hate to like quote the fucking racks that I read. But it was more just that that NRA is not. It's not so much about their power is rooted in the fact that it's a single issue kind of organization that just comes down to like no. You don't have to get nuanced with anybody about like what the position is on what the appropriate amounts of regulation are. It's very simple to just say no to everything. And I think that's what makes it so difficult for anyone to have a sane conversation about guns, and that's because there's a large group of people who just yell no. And I mean the interesting thing is that they're outnumbered. I mean most polls show that I think 70 to 80% of the U.S. citizens are in favor of some type of universal background check.
Oh yeah, even NRA members, are heavily in favor. It's just like the people that run that platform. Exactly, their only answer is no, and that's what they've relied on for decades here. It seems like. Yeah. It's just absolute resistance to everything.
And their base, which is the base is always usually a minority, but their base is highly motivated, and they show up. And they make noise. So I guess I don't know if I'm supposed to be taking a pro or con stance. I don't necessarily think you need to. I mean, look, we can always go the way of Australia, but that's not going to happen. And Australia solved their mass shootings problems in 1996 after Tasmania. They just haven't had a mass shooting since. And unless we're willing to do that, I think there has to be some kind of acknowledgement that these types of things are going to continue to happen as long as we have, the proliferation of firearms to the extent that we do it. Right. I don't know. I think if we can just say that's okay, then that's okay. But I think what I find problematic for the anti-gun control people is that there's an unwillingness to acknowledge that's what you're doing.
For sure.
So let's bring it up to right now, and what's going on in Congress. So if my news sources are correct, the Democrats are now sitting on the floor of Congress, and saying they're not going to move.
No bill, no break. No vote, no break. Yeah.
Until some gun legislation passes, and if I am correct,
They're not asking to pass. They're not asking to pass. They're just asking for a vote. They
they
to
just want to vote. Okay.
Yeah, they want it. Yeah, want to be bought for a vote, and basically, yeah, the Republicans charged Paul Ryan kept going on over them shouting and continued business as usual. Yeah, it's very interesting, awesome to watch actually.
They should start proceeding now. So even if you go on C-SPAN now, they've cut the cameras because they're technically in recess. And
yeah, but you go to CNN and you watch people periscoping it. It's pretty cool.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So what the sit-in Democrats want, what they want the vote on is no fly, no guns. That's it? That's the gist of it?
There's 3 bills that they want, and they're the same 3 bills that failed in the House already. And so I think there's 3 different there's 3 different versions. There's an extremely restrictive gun control law that has been pitched that's not going to pass, and there is the compromise, which is no list, no gun. And then there's more watered down version that is similar to the bill that was pushed by the senator from Maine. I forget the Republican who's up for re-election and is gonna get challenged from the left. Yeah, they just want to vote, and it's not going to pass. And that's the Republican or Paul Ryan's position is basically they want us to vote on something that they know that they won't pass. And I guess the Republicans don't want to be held accountable for the vote. I guess that's the motivation for not wanting to have the vote.
Also, they control the way things roll, and they don't want to give in. Like it's not like the Senate; they can't filibuster. So basically, the only power the Democrats have is kind of like stage this protest, and they don't want to give into it. As the Republicans, they want to say, hey, let's do things the way we always do things, which is where we are in control.
So what's the goal? What's the goal of the protest? If
I think it's just that.
Just to look good?
Yeah, well, no, not to look good. It's more to you get these. I mean, especially given where the Republican Party is now with Trump and the concerns of what the effects of him on the party down ticket, it's to get these representatives, a third of whom are up for re-election, to get them on the record voting yay or nay on gun control.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go.
No, go for it.
Oh, I just think because the polling is out there. Like most people are in support of some type of reasonable gun control.
Yeah, exactly.
There's 100,000 Second Amendment guys who are running around making a whole lot of noise on Facebook and Twitter, but the majority of people are just like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be able to drive to a gun show in Arizona and buy a gun from some random dude, like right there.
Right, exactly.
But that's not even what the bills are, though, right? I mean,
well, no, they're not even. I mean, they're not even touching those loopholes yet. But I think it's to put them on. You get somebody on the record with a bad vote against a sensible gun law, then that makes for a great commercial come election time.
Yeah,
I imagine that's why. I mean, if that's not the case, then why? If they're because the Democrats aren't arguing for passage, they just want an up-down vote, and the Republicans are denying them that. I mean, if you're the Republican Party and you're not afraid of your constituency as it relates to this issue, well, then just put the vote on and you're going to crush them. There's only I think there's like 110, 115 Democrats in the House right now, so they can't pass anything. So it's going to get voted down. You win on a party line, and you move on.
Yeah, to your point, Muto, about like what's the point of protesting too. It's also, when you feel you have some edge, something to work with, you got to push it, and I think that's what the Democrats are doing here. Their support, be it in the public or the media or whatever, and they don't want to just let it go. I mean, to a broader point of protests in general. Like even when you look at what was that, University of Missouri, or if you go even and look at like Hong Kong, a lot of those protests like get started and they get support because people agree. Whether it's the Hong Kong protesters, like getting shut down at first and told not to protest, and that's when more people come out. to help with their right to protest, or in Missouri, just the feelings of being ignored, with these racial situations. When you have that advantage, it's great to push it, and you should. But it's also the one thing about these demonstrations is like the public, unfortunately, has a limited attention span and patience. And so, like, you got to push hard when you can, and then sometimes, like, then they get mad at you, like, they're with you for a few days, and then they get mad at you for breaking things up or stopping the normal flow of commerce or whatever it is. So, I think this is their night where the Democrats feel they can step in, and at least for one night, like, they're not going to shut down Congress forever, but they can make this stand and get the attention on their side at least. I don't think they plan to push this very far.
Well, that leads me to a thought I had, and I did actually see this one other place. I thought I was really smart, but I saw it one other place. And if, like you're saying, you're trying to push this, you have the momentum on your side, it's the Democrats. There's one Democrat that everyone knows that has a ton of momentum, that has a huge following, and yet he's real silent on guns. It's Mr. Bernie Sanders.
Not today, actually, though.
Oh, he came out today. Way to go.
Yeah, he did post something on Facebook in solidarity with the people in the House, and he did, do the no bill, no break.
He came in the House to support them.
Yeah.
Oh, he did? All right.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren. They both came in support.
But
so,
as this was going, the gun talk was all over our news for the last week and a half, and no Bernie. I just think it's weird that this is. I feel like his constituents, the people he wants to represent, are probably against. That's for some of this gun legislation, and he's silent. He's real silent.
I mean, his part of his historical base is in Vermont. It's the gun issue is a lot different than it is in other liberal states.
I think he's made his position. I mean, he's made his position on guns known and clear. He's in support of universal background checks. I think what you're talking about is the vote that Hillary kept calling him out on dealt with holding gun manufacturers liable for.
I think he was right to vote against that. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with him. I'm just saying, as far as the liberal stance is generally way more anti-gun than Bernie is traditionally. And I'm not saying that's bad. And he's not pro-gun or anything. But it's just it's the one thing where you didn't swing as far to the left as Democratic Party traditionally.
And I feel like when you have these people just waiting to hear you talk, waiting to give you some kind of lead.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't use that. Like, it's like, well, what's the point? Like, you're this movement guy. Like, guns are cool.
Are we talking about right now, or are we talking about when he was effectively running for
both?
Well, I mean, now he's been kind of silenced by the media. I mean, let's be clear. Like, mainstream media has completely turned its back on him, and Hillary has pivoted away from him. The media has pivoted away from him. Donald Trump has pivoted away from him. So, I mean, if we're talking about like what he's supposed to do right now, I mean, he's just trying to get attention on some level. I mean, because most people have written him. I mean, his presidential campaign is done for all intents and purposes. But I guess I'm questioning when you say he didn't do enough on gun control. He was pretty clear on his website and in the debates about where he stood on gun control. I mean, Hillary Clinton called him out for voting to not hold manufacturers liable, but for, I guess, gun death was the bill that they were trying to pass, which is, I don't know. It's interesting. We don't have to have that debate right now, but I mean, he was pretty clear on wanting universal background checks and wanting to close the gun show.
When we did our Why Should I Vote for Hillary podcast, or Why Should I Vote for Bernie podcast, when I was going over the issues, that actually one of the things I never got to was I thought he was pretty quiet on guns when I was trying to go over all his brochures and all his stuff. And this was before mass shootings, so I mean it was already in my mind that this guy's a little soft on guns, and I thought that was a little weird.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Relative to the where do you think he would be?
Then I'll go. I have to adopt the position that Tim has taken, and that is that he's from a relatively rural state where people own. There's a higher percentage of gun ownership than there is in most urban or more populated states.
And I think it's a lot different to own a gun out in the sticks than it is to own a
Right.
gun in an urban environment. You know, like
Owning a machine gun in a Burlingame is much different than. I'm not sure. I can't even sure all the cities in Vermont, but
Yeah, not important.
owning a machine gun in Vermont is going to be a lot different than owning a machine gun in Los Angeles County.
Yes.
It just is.
yep,
So
no doubt.
that's I guess I'll put it in that category. I think he had, I mean, similarly to how Bernie struggled to like talk to people of color and address them at the inception of his campaign. I think there's an argument because he never had to do it when running it for office in Vermont. It's a similar thing. Like the nuances that an anti-gun person in California are going to take up is going to be a little bit different than what he believes to be reasonable gun control coming from Vermont. So I'll chalk it up to that.
And that's why we have a Senate and a House, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of Bernie, let's just swing it to the big national election. We know that Hillary is our Democratic candidate, and it looks like, I mean, Trump's the Republican nominee, but it looks like Hillary's starting to run away with this thing. It got close when she was
When she was still dealing with Bernie on this hot streak.
Yeah,
and Trump was already the guy. Yeah, he started making up ground, and as soon as it was Hillary, he's been losing ground.
Well, I mean, I think that's. I don't want to blame that on Bernie. I think that has more to do with
no.
There's less attention being paid to Trump with respect to his his lack of a political machine. I mean, they don't have the framework to run a national election. Like, they just don't have the organization. I mean,
yeah, they're hilarious. Hilariously, for a guy who's got so much money and claims so much success, he has got such a head up his ass political, like, I guess it won a nomination, but it's so different and so freaking shitty by most standards.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's shitty to the extent that it's non-existent. I mean, we have like 34 people on staff,
right?
for a presidential election. I mean, it takes like 34 people to run a McDonald's. So, I mean, the things he could get away with in a primary, he can't get away with in the general, and that's catching up to him. His ridiculous comments on the Orlando shooting, that burned him. The just utterly racist shit he was saying about the federal judge not being tried to sit on his case because he's Mexican, even though the guy's born in Indiana. Yeah, that kind of stuff. It's as long as he keeps saying stuff like that, he's gonna isolate himself from anybody that I guess our support. My question is, how many people do we know who will say in public they won't vote for Trump, but will go into the ballot box and cast their vote for Donald Trump?
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting question, especially once it's a binary choice now.
Right.
Like for most people, it's Hillary or Trump, and that changes things drastically. Before when there's all these other options. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see because yeah, for me, Trump is the worst. But yeah, not for everyone. People hate the establishment. People like someone who speaks their mind or whatever it is. A lot of people, honestly, too, think like, what can the president really do? What's the big deal? I don't know if that's a big thing, but that does seem to be a theme you start hearing coming out more of just like, it's not Hillary and he sucks, but he's not Hillary, and what's the worst he can do? Which I don't quite get, but I hear it,
Yeah, well, I mean, he can nominate another ridiculous judge to the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
he's gonna get to do it at least once, but the next president of the United States is probably going to be appointing two.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Ginsburg is not going to be around. I don't know for. I mean, another 4 years is going to be a stretch, but you know, probably not another 8. So there's that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, his both their foreign policies are just so atrocious. From that standpoint, I think it's a push. But that's just me. I can't bring myself to vote for her.
Well, we live in California, so you're okay.
You're right, but I don't think I would. I don't think I would vote for her if I lived in
Cleveland?
Yeah, I don't think I'd vote for her. I still don't think I would.
So, speaking of the other options, one of the funniest things recently that I've read was a June 14th Bloomberg poll talking about Bernie supporters, and it said 22% say they'd vote for Trump, and 18% say they'd vote for Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate. That's pretty gnarly. That's 40% of Bernie supporters saying they'd vote for two guys that, like, Bernie is so different from. It's crazy. But I think it's just a sign of, like, the outsider thing, I guess, is what's drawing people in more than the policies. It must be, because, I mean, Gary Johnson is the exact opposite of Bernie. Like, Bernie thinks the government can do positive things to help, and the libertarian stance is the exact opposite of that, you know? Right. Like, and 18% of Bernie support, like, I don't know if that's true, but that's the poll. Like, that's a crazy amount.
That's wild.
It's weird, yeah. It's interesting.
Just indicative of, like, how far right the Republican Party has gone, and how they have completely. I want to say, yeah, they've forgotten who their base is. They've left their base. There's an
absolutely, yeah.
The Republican Party is so married, for the most part, to the elite that there's a lot of votes to be had within the base. So it makes sense to me that they would see this guy, they'd see Gary Johnson and think, oh, well, yeah, he's arguing libertarianism, but it's not even real libertarianism.
No, he is definitely in his party's convention. His party booed him for saying he supported driver's licenses and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He was booed by his own party. Like, that's crazy.
but his beliefs are more akin to what a 1980s conservative would be.
Right. I mean, he was the Republican governor of New Mexico, right?
Yeah,
we're all on the same page here.
Yeah, he's much more palatable. But the fact that his party boos driver's licenses, boos the civil, like, I can't imagine that party getting that much steam nationally. I don't know, you know.
So either, if you're a libertarian, you either don't know what a libertarian is, or you don't understand the global economic frameworks.
We should find a libertarian. That would be fun. I should do that.
You don't know what it means to be a libertarian, or you don't understand how the global economy works. Because if you understand either one of those things, you wouldn't be a libertarian.
For sure. Actually, one of my old friends was hardcore until we got in a lot of these conversations, and he's not anymore, because it's hard to, when you realize all the implications of that position. How can you hold so strongly to it?
Like, it's fun to say.
Exactly, and in certain parts it is great. Yeah, the government gets in the way, but not everywhere, and not. It's just it's.
Yeah, libertarians are Republicans who want to have sex and smoke weed. I mean this new age libertarian. I mean, you're all about conservatism, but you don't want, like, God to be brought up in like regulating regulating stuff. You know, but you're free market, but pro-choice is so. It's I don't know. I mean, Jill Stein's going to get my vote in the Green Party. I mean, I know I'm burning it, but I just can't.
She's a lovely lady.
May I say I have never voted for Republican or Democrat for president, and I've never felt like I've burned my vote. I think it's important to give at least numbers to other parties, to others' ideas. If at least your vote increases their numbers, I don't think it's wasting it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Look at that. That was great. That made everyone feel good about themselves.
Yay! Votes are conscious.
Right,
Unless it's Trump.
Unless it's Trump. That's burning your vote, everybody. So, speaking of voting, again, who do you think Hillary will choose as her vice president? Who are your guys' thoughts on candidates or the move here? It probably doesn't matter this much at this point after what we just said about Donald, but
yeah,
since we're here.
Email, I told you who I thought. I mean,
Yeah,
Well,
I
people
read
who
the
listen
email
to
and
this
then the
podcast
next,
can't read my emails. So
the next thing I read talked about like 4 people in consideration, and it wasn't him.
no, I can see what
And
you
that's
want.
why I feel like this is like trade talk or coach talk. It's like so useless
that's
sometimes,
what
you know.
that's what sports radio is built on. Come on.
That's true.
Look at Stephen A. Smith. I mean, he said the Cavs had, and then he's like, "Good job, LeBron." Like, I mean, that's the beauty. When you're wrong, you can throw up your arms and go, "Oh well." I mean, I can't tell the future.
I did the best I could with the information I had. Damn it.
Yeah, that's why they play the game. So for those of you who can't read Muno's email, who are listening to this, I thought it was going to be Cory Booker. I thought he is a corporatist, center left, almost rightish Democrat who he can help you with the young vote. He can help you with the young vote of color, which is something that, I mean, no one really talks about. But you know, Hillary struggled to get the young vote, period. But she really struggled
Right.
with the young vote.
It's hilarious, especially. I mean, it feels weird breaking down the demographics, but it's a part of what we do. But it just sounds racist, like the blacks voted this and the Mexicans voted this or something. But she definitely did a lot better with older minorities and a lot worse with younger ones.
Yes, yeah. I mean, like my mom loves Hillary Clinton, and you know,
Right?
she and I got into a huge fight about it when she told me she voted for her, and I was just like, oh god. But yeah, so he helps her with those things. He's a great VP candidate in that he makes sense for another 4 years of Democratic rule after she leaves office, and he's been out there like as a surrogate really strong for over the last few days, especially on this gun debate in the Senate. I just don't think Warren makes sense. I don't think he gets her anything.
Yeah, that's what's funny is the Elizabeth Warren talk, because they don't really mash either.
No, they don't like each other, and
Yeah.
their politics are kind of. And I'd just be so disappointed in Elizabeth Warren if she did.
Well, and that's, I think it'd be funny too if like it's like seriously Elizabeth Warren and Bernie are the two progressives of the Senate, and if Bernie has his campaign and falls short, and then like Elizabeth Warren winds up being the VP, it'd just be one of those kind of absurd things that I find funny. I don't think it will happen, but it would make me laugh at least.
No, it's hot dogs being made, man. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
you've been totally co-opted, and you're like, oh yeah. I mean, in your 20s, sell out in your 30s, kind of deal. Just like
Buying in, it's buying in, not selling out.
buying one of so I mean, who else did you see that was in consideration? Because I can't even think of who else. I like the guy Castro down in Houston. I said him originally.
Castro, I think he was, and there was Castro, and there was like two, like a Brown. Is that one, or did we just? I don't know.
Brown, like as in like the governor of California.
No,
that's crazy talk.
Governor Moonbeam. Be fun though, you know.
All right, so we had Castro, Warren, and who else? Brown, and some. There was you don't remember off the top of your head.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top. And it's also one of those things like it doesn't interest you that much until I hear for sure what it is.
There's always
the
Labor
trade
Secretary Tom Perez. Don't
Right,
forget about
it
him.
is. But to me, totally, it is like the trade talk and the coach talk, and I kind of just zone it out and like, let's just wait and see.
Fair enough.
So that's not. I'm sorry, that's poor analysis. but
Sherrod Brown, I think, was the person you were
there it
thinking of.
was. Yeah, that was a Brown.
He's from the congressman from Ohio, so he's go Cavs, Justin. That's good.
He is and the thing he's cut from that Dennis
Kucinich?
kind of clock. I mean, he's no, not Dennis. No, I'm not Kucinich. The former mayor of Cleveland. Oh God, he ran for president. He ran for the presidency back in the 80s, and then again in the 90s. He's another Slavic guy, or Polish kid, with a hard name to pronounce. I cannot think of his name, but Brown was uber liberal as well in the House. So I'm
Dukakis?
I was sad to see him. I was sad to see Brown go and endorse Clinton, but I guess
He's got to keep getting the money, though. I mean,
That's what they do.
where your bread's buttered. You
oh,
got to hook up to the machine.
yeah.
I mean, Elizabeth Warren talked some shit on Hillary Clinton in her book, and then was immediately out like pro-Clinton as soon as that California primary was over. Like that's just what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you do have to kind of like fall in line, but
I mean, you got two big parties, and they're going to include a lot of interests that you might not necessarily agree with. And I mean, like me personally, I'm not a part of these parties, but I understand the draw in that they help with the ideas you care about most, and then you kind of compromise on some of the other ones because it gives you the power to get things done. And it sucks, but I get it. Like that's what they do.
it was Dennis Kucinich, by the way. Yeah, he's cut from Brown was cut from that same cloth of just like radical
Rabble rouser.
Yeah, and same with the guy who got busted on Twitter with his cock or whatever. The guy from New York.
Wiener?
Yeah, Wiener. Yeah,
How could you not remember Wiener?
I know. Come on.
they were Democrats. They're just like kind of up in your face. I don't buy into the whole "we need to play nice in the sandbox" kind of deal.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad to see Brown get co-opted. So, I mean, I'm kind of like Tim. I honestly don't really care.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
It does in some sense because you got to bring. I mean, it would make sense for Brown because he would, in theory, help her take Ohio because Ohio, Florida. I don't think Pennsylvania is going to be in play to the extent that people think it is because I mean Pennsylvania hasn't voted for a Republican in a presidential election in like I don't know since like 1980. So
yeah,
Florida and Ohio.
Yeah.
Her taking some, even though I still feel like Clinton's going to mop Trump in the general election. I do not think it'd be like.
I agree. It's going to be a fucking bloodbath.
Yeah,
like
it'll be like Mitt Romney all over again, even worse than Mitt Romney.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be like a McGovern getting worked by Nixon or something. Like because I I don't think she's gonna take 49 states, but it's gonna be so easy. Like all the Democrats need to do is hold the states they have won for the last like 4 or 5 general presidential elections, and then take like 2 swing states, and they've got it. And that does not seem hard, at all. Yeah,
and I think Trump's gunning for like states that never go red. That's part of his strategy,
right? He just fired his one, manager guy who was the one that was with him through all the crazy stuff.
Well, yeah.
So it'll be interesting if he changes, but who knows what the hell his tactic's going to be? He
has to bring out the white man, dude. He's banking on the disenfranchised white man.
Yeah, for sure.
And the interesting thing though is that like I think Romney took like some ridiculous percentage of the white male vote and still got crushed. And so
exactly,
he's gonna have to do even more of the white male vote. I think I would say that from a mathematical standpoint, it makes sense. I mean, we get in a presidential election about 35 to 45% of eligible voters out there. So I think he's banking on getting just these people who don't vote at all. I mean, I won't say they're all white nationalists, but he's planning on getting
probably pretty close.
All of them, though, yeah.
he's banking on getting a lot of guys who are sympathetic to that cause out there. The whole Chris Rock we're losing kind of like guys, like the people who think that like they don't like the way this country's going.
Yeah, can I say I have a neighbor who We live 2 blocks from the Pacific Ocean in Southern California. You know, like, yeah, it's an apartment and whatever. But he's a white guy and he's like does DJ work or whatever. But he gets into it. He likes to bitch about how the white man is getting the raw end of the deal, and it's just like I don't understand what the hell you're saying. Like, where are you losing out to all these women and minority? I don't understand. Like, pull your head out of your ass. But when things don't go the way he wants, that's who he blames, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it's a tactic that has been used since the inception of this country, man. I mean, no one wants to be on the bottom, and everyone wants to be able to blame their folly or their plight on someone else. I don't think anyone's immune from it, and it's something that can just be played upon. And I mean, it's this lack of understanding of what jobs these Mexicans are taking away from people.
Exactly.
You don't want to work in the fields and bust tables.
Are you gonna go out there and pick strawberries? Because I sure as shit I'm not.
Right, exactly.
Not a chance.
No. You're gonna go work, as a dishwasher at this restaurant, as a busboy at this restaurant, and then fucking be like a line cook at this other restaurant.
And a day laborer, like, no, thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not.
Also, my favorite thing about any restaurant experience in Southern California is whatever cuisine it is, it's cooked by Mexicans. Chinese food, Indian food.
That's what it is. I mean, people are willing. I used to say this. If you're willing to pay $20 a pound for strawberries, then let's deport all undocumented persons. Let's do it.
Yeah,
but no one is.
Let me say a little point here, going back to a little earlier on the protest and the paying for strawberries. I love protests and I want them to succeed when I see that, and then part of me wants to analyze why it goes bad. And a lot of it, I believe a society only has so much patience when their life is so good. You can't ask them to give up so much. But if you can find something little, like people will get behind it, and one of the best examples is Cesar Chavez and the migrant workers movement in California, and the biggest success they had was just hey, stop buying grapes. We're getting fucked out here picking grapes, and if you guys the consumers can show some solidarity with us, then maybe we can make some change. And that did, So those are the little things, and it's hard to always find them, but when you can, I think that's something you need to embrace. If you can tell people hey, don't buy grapes, or hey, can we just avoid this? It's not gonna ruin your life that much. You don't have to stop everything you're doing, but if you can do something little to show solidarity with this cause, and I think people have a good heart and they want to, but also they care about their kid and their job and their house and their wife, and they don't want to disrupt that. So you can't ask them to do so much. But finding those little things, I don't know. That's what I think we need to do more of if we can for these movements.
I totally agree with you. As long as you can, I think I said it. I'm pretty sure I said this last time I was on the podcast. But as long as you can get a hamburger for $1.99, you're never gonna have.
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Yep.
Like you said, people are too comfortable. We're not going to get the French Revolution. We're not going to get the Bolshevik Revolution. None of that's going to happen because people are still comfortable. And even if Donald Trump became the president, I mean, a lot of stuff would change, but a lot of stuff would be the same still.
Right. That's exactly. I mean, some people, their opinion is how much can the president do things, and part of me agrees with that. In the United States of America, I determine my life much more than the president does. I'd like to think, and
I mean, yes.
I get that does. I mean, that applies to me probably more as a white guy than it does to someone who may be, imprisoned, improperly, and that's a system that you need someone to help you fight. So I agree. It's not always.
Right, but even when you look at what the Justice Department did with the LGBT stuff in the bathrooms, the moment the federal government comes in is just this is behavior and this is not.
Not for sure. That does help, and it does mean something. Yeah.
So I mean, for people who are on the extreme fringes, it really matters because when when the Attorney General comes and says, like, yeah, so just so you know, any and every state that passes laws like this, know that the federal government is going to come in and stop you. Like, and tells these people, not these people, tells people in this community that we have your back. Like, that just sets the tone. That's a powerful thing. So,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm
Thanks, Obama.
You're welcome.
That was, for once, an unironic thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
While we kind of wind things down here,
Well, it would be funny. I know it's stupid, and it is a good sign of our country that it's not that big a talking point. But a series of old white guy presidents, and we could have a woman after a minority. For me, at least, it's a decent sign. Like, we all grew up when Strom Thurmond was in the fucking Senate. A guy that was a pro-segregationist who had
like a real racist.
Civil War veterans vote for. At least things are getting a little better. Although his seat was taken by Lindsey Graham, who's the whole time, so I don't know how much better it is. But I don't know. Things are. No, there are positive signs here.
Parents' generation, George Wallace ran for president, ran to be the United States president. So we've come a long way. The unfortunate thing is we've still got a long ways to go.
And I do like the fact that it's kind of a ho-hum thing, because people are like, it's symbolic. What's really important is the other stuff, and that is a good sign.
Yeah. It's interesting because
there really is no excitement about a woman president at all.
Yet.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
I think we're in the wrong circles, man. There are a lot.
For yourselves.
There are a lot of women who are very excited about it, and
it's just not the young generation. It's not the Facebook generation, so we don't see that.
It will be. I think once things start winding down, it will be. It's just there was a lot going on at first.
I don't know a lot of young women that were Hillary fans. They're Bernie fans or not that political. Of my friends.
I have faith. I have faith in America that a milestone like this will not go unrecognized.
Oh, I don't think it's not going to go unrecognized. I think what's is just that it's kind of it's interesting because we are. I mean, I'm not going to date all of us, but we're closer to being 40 than we are to being 20.
True.
And we are that generation. We're no longer like the drivers of revolution. Like, we are swinging into that establishment kind.
Oh yeah, we're the problem.
Yeah, because if there's a revolution, it might take away from my 401k balance, and we need to keep that going.
Yeah, it's like when I'm pissed off about my neighbors, leaving Coors the boxes for their. On the sidewalk, and I'm like, this is fucking with my property value.
Quit trying to gentrify North Los Angeles.
You're right. I should stop. But the interesting thing is these are white hipsters. But I think this was a great segue. I think I was having this conversation with my wife, and I was trying to give the Dave Chappelle approach to homosexuality. Of where I'm like, look, I don't really have a problem with it. I actually have zero problem with it. It doesn't bother me at all. But that shit's still kind of gross to me.
That's terrible.
It is two dudes kissing and I get that it's my issue and I need to
feel Grandpa.
Exactly.
Come on.
Well, I'm with you, but I don't like seeing a heterosexual couple make out unless it's a hot chick or something. I'm just not into that with anyone.
So
two hot chicks going out.
No public displays of affection. Got it.
But no, I agree with that. I feel the exact same awkwardness. Yeah, it's just I would rather not be around it, but do your thing and feel free.
I know that I'm the asshole in this equation.
Right? Yeah.
I do. And my wife called me out on it, and it's
rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I'm the one to evolve, and I think that there's a younger generation that is clearly less concerned about race than we were. We were less concerned about race than our parents' generation. I think they're less concerned they're almost completely not concerned about sexual orientation. Our generation was kind of
Oh, dude, growing up, But yeah,
Yeah.
that was the go-to insult, was calling someone gay or calling them a fag, like, and there was no adult try to stop you from that.
Right. I mean, I think
And that's like so many people, like, yeah.
I got detention for that once. I'm not
Oh,
gonna lie. Yeah.
I haven't dropped an F-bomb. I think the last time I dropped an F-bomb was probably in my early 20s. But like up until then, and that was when I was in law school in San Francisco. But up until then, I probably dropped it every goddamn day, and it was like, that or gay. You're gay. Stop being gay.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's gay. You're gay. Or yeah. I mean,
Well, thankfully,
I think
we have evolved.
douche has come to replace the F word there.
Probably.
Like, because the F word was just a general, like, up yours. Now we say you're being a douche, and
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna
better,
swerve,
but-
I'm gonna swerve away from this conversation. Something I wanted to ask both of you, since you're the people I go to for questions about politics. Where do you get your information from? So, Justin, I'm going to hit you up first. What are some sources of information that you like to go to? It's a question I like to ask people.
So I go to a plethora of sources. I love MSNBC, but it's mainstream media, and I understand that they have a financial interest and perspectives when they report. So that's kind of like the starting ground. But I'm a big fan of Al Jazeera America. I love it.
Aren't they going out of business?
They are, unfortunately. But they still the channel is done. But they still have Al Jazeera America is going to go out of business. Now, I don't believe that all of Al Jazeera is done.
Right, just the America stuff.
Yeah, Al Jazeera America is done, but that's a result of racism. But we can talk about that.
Right. That didn't work in America? No way.
Yeah.
Shocker.
But
People in Iowa don't want to go to Al Jazeera. I didn't see that coming.
But
I
love
good work though. Didn't they break the Peyton Manning HGH scandal?
They did.
They did.
And he's not going to sue them. So I love Al Jazeera. I'll also go to BBC, but that's more for the international twist. You don't really get that. They're pretty bad on the domestic stuff. And there is a awesome podcast that I listen to called The Best of the Left, and it is essentially an aggregate of leftist-leaning radio shows.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
And so the guy picks a topic, and then he will just pull like short segments from the Young Turks, from Rachel Maddow, from Media Matters, Democracy Now! Like, he just pulls all of these snippets and throws together a show, it's pretty impressive. So I like that as well.
Mr. Foy, what are your go-tos?
When I'm turning the TV on the news, I usually turn it on CNN. Like after work, Don Lemon or whatever. As far as what I read, the apps I have on my phone are Huffington Post, MSNBC, CNN, BBC. I feel like there's one or two others. But yeah, a lot. Half the stuff is just going to the Yahoo or MSN and seeing what's on the front. The only thing that I pay for is I subscribe to The Economist, so I get that once a week.
That's
and I get
expensive.
Their news app. It's a little bit of a commitment, and it's the reason I like it is, it's global. It covers a lot of things, and they take a stance on most issues, as an editorial stance. And I like where they are. They're obviously pro-business and free trade and stuff like that. But they're also write a lot of stuff that seems very concerned with dealing with income inequality or helping raise safety nets or get people out of poverty. They're also
well-researched, thoughtful.
Yeah, and like they take sense. They've been pro marijuana legalization for like over a decade. They were well out in favor of same-sex marriage and stuff like that. So I appreciate. It's funny. A lot of the people on the right like The Economist, and then they don't realize that it comes out in favor of several positions they hate. You know, that it supported Barack Obama in both elections or whatever it is. So
Well, that means it's good though, right? If different people can pull different things from it.
that's my opinion. I mean, it's a certain kind of take, and it's definitely different. But I enjoy reading them. So that's the only thing I pay for.
All right, one more fun question and a plug. As there's the Morning Paper podcast on the Tilting Ground Podcast Network, and
It's not really because I can't find it anywhere. I have to watch it on the web.
I am working on it. If you go to the website, it's there. the iTunes is being a bit difficult for me.
Sure.
However, as the producer, they picked their song. They have a song. It's an intro song. I was wondering, Justin, if copyright were not an issue, what would you have wanted your intro song to be when I announced you today?
Oh God, something obnoxious. It just wanted to be something obnoxious because I love being a dick.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. Mr. Foy?
Actually, this thought came to my mind when I was listening to the Hot Stepper the other day. And it's just like, I was like, oh, that'd be a great thing to come into. So
Bad.
here comes the Hot Stepper.
Love it.
I'm the little gangster. I'm sorry, but you know,
I would
some
be
old
topical.
shitty song I haven't heard in a while. I was like, oh, that'd be great.
If YG and Drake are listening, I would love to intro this with why you always hating.
Nice.
But all right. Well, I want to thank Justin for coming on. I want to thank Tim Foy for coming on. It was a good time, a good conversation. We'll definitely have him back. Maybe we'll switch the format up or something. But it was definitely fun to have him. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Good times.
All right. What a time to be alive.
All right, guys. Later.